Graveyards are places of rest, or so we're told. But what if the dead were restless? What if the air you breathe between the tombstones is thick not just with decay, but with whispers from a world just beyond ours? When the sun sets and shadows stretch like dark fingers over crumbling headstones, something else stirs, waiting. It's in the silence, in the chill that pricks your skin just as your heart starts to race. You think you're alone, but you aren't, because you're never alone in a graveyard after dark. We'll see you on the inside.
But anyway, I digress. I just wanted to say I digress because I wasn't.
Who doesn't digress every now and then?
I wasn't egressing either right then. So how can I digress? I don't know how to use. What's the opposite of digress right now?
What is
Progress.
the definition of egress?
Progress. Egress was totally the wrong word. I just threw it out
You
there
could have put regress, right? Isn't that?
Ooh.
Is that a word? Hey, folks at home, I'm fucking stupid. Help me out. Is regress a word?
Have you? I feel like
I've already answered in the edit myself.
Past life regression.
That's what I'm thinking. But is regress on its own doesn't stand on its own, or is it?
Yeah, you regress.
I regress. Anyway, I digress. Welcome back to Sleep with the Lights On.
I beat the addiction.
This is getting sad so early in the episode.
Whatever, man.
Damn it, Christian.
Most of that shit don't matter.
Welcome back.
Most of it's just useless banner that sometimes you throw in, and I'm like, oh, I can't believe you put that in.
And usually at the worst part of the conversation, I'll find you saying the absolute worst thing I can and be like, that's where we start.
I can't believe this stuff. Like, I thought you liked me. Now, sometimes I wonder when I listen to an episode, that's...
Christian, are you not aware that this is for entertainment purposes? This is a stage, man. My entire life, I felt like I was in a sitcom. Okay? I live that way.
I do realize this.
Okay.
But sometimes my subconscious does not realize this and takes it seriously.
It's okay. My subconscious sometimes questions why I do it. So both of our subconscious are working overtime. And once again, welcome back to Sleep with the Lights On.
I can't even say beans anymore without a little bit of trauma.
Okay, so
it's not as bad as that one color that
orange.
That is the color.
Orange. It's fine. Christian, we're not here to make fun of you all night, as fun as that is.
Thank you, Tom.
As we mentioned in the opening monologue, we are diving into some stories from graveyards.
I love graveyards.
It didn't start out that way.
Stories.
Wow, no, you like both. It didn't start out that way. Originally, I found a story that I was going to jumpstart this episode with, and it took place in a graveyard. I'm like, oh, that's fascinating. And as I was looking for those stories, I'm like, what if I made these about graveyard stories? And that's how this was born. And you guys didn't ask, and it's fine, and it doesn't hurt.
You know,
I want to get into this first one.
Sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you, but I once spent some time in a graveyard, but I don't remember because I have not had my past life regression yet.
Ugh. See what I deal with, Christian, constantly?
That was pretty bad, but also...
That was pretty bad. But also, or were we going somewhere else with that or no?
I just circled back on you.
Circling back to the story. Folks, if you are new, be sure to subscribe. We release these bad boys every other Friday. And if you are someone that just likes stories in the comments section and you like to shout, like, get back to the stories, oh my God. Hey, shut the hell up, all right? When you produce this show, you can get back to the stories, you motherfucker.
Calm down, Scott, but there is a timestamp.
It's going to be bleeped. You moron. There's timestamps in the description, you piece of shit. Okay? You don't like banter? You don't like lighthearted conversation, you monster? It's in the description, okay? Is my voice beautiful and soothing?
Scott.
And you just want to hear the stories? Just click the button, damn it, you asshole.
Scott, do your breathing exercises.
Anyway. Hey, welcome back, everyone else. So here we go. I'm not struggling. This first story is called Ghost of the Graveyard, and it's a Jackal, which I wonder if that's a Mike Birbiglia reference. Great comedian, if you're not aware.
He was great in that Netflix show, the TV show about the women in prison.
Orange is the New Black?
That is right. That's the one
Mike Birbiglia was in that?
Wasn't he? I feel like he was.
He might have been. I stopped watching that after like season 4 because it was just so.
I feel like he was in there. I could be wrong. I don't know. Maybe he's a different show.
Someone is fuming at their keyboard. Get back to the ups because they skipped past the part of me telling him, you fucking moron. Anyway.
Back to the graveyard.
Back to the graveyard and the jackal and whatnot. It says, one time my friend and I were at a graveyard being stupid teenagers, smoking cigarettes and taking photos.
I've been there.
He was there with him, actually. Turns out
No,
this is a
not in
Christian
this
story.
case, unless it was Palmdale, California.
He was slinging dope down at the graveyard to these teenagers, smoking cigarettes. We started spooking each other out, asking, is anyone here? And that kind of bullshit. We sat on a bench and the digital point-and-shoot camera starts malfunctioning. Can't remember specifics because this was maybe 2007-ish, but I do recall it turned off, then wouldn't turn back on no matter how many times we pressed power. Suddenly, it turns itself back on and takes a photo of the area directly in front of us. The screen viewfinder showed a black humanoid-shaped mass standing directly in front of us only for a second before the camera shut off again. I kind of went into shock. I looked at her fully expecting her to not have seen it, but her face just said, run. No, it's fine. Anyway, we fucking book it back to my car. I feel a false sense of security at this point until I turn it on. The radio is set to my normal station, but instead of music was an intense static noise that almost sounded like people moaning in agony. It sounded like hell. Behind the static, I could hear the faint music of the actual station. It was a U2 song. Ooh, ooh. I don't know the name, but it's imprinted in my memory forever. That song, that ooh song, is every U2 song, so you didn't really help out, did you? No, but that's fine. I turn off the radio and fucking hightail it far, far away into a McDonald's parking lot because no ghost would ever go to McDonald's.
True.
We turn on the camera, works perfectly fine now, and the photo is just a spiral of light. Like if you tripped while taking a photo of a street light at night. Not the spookiest ending, but nevertheless horrifying at the time. Yes, of course. Creepy graveyard magic. Christian, what do you think about that one? You believe in ghosts now?
Nope.
After that?
I mean, it's just a malfunctioning piece of electronics, right?
That when it happened to function again, took a photo of a shadow entity right in front of them and then powered back off. And then when they got the camera working again in a McDonald's parking lot, because ghosts never go to McDonald's, all they saw was a spiral of light photo. So the photo wasn't even there. And the camera was acting weird. And it was acting weird, guys, that alone.
I mean, they were acting weird because they're freaking smoking cigarettes in a graveyard.
Cigarettes, though, not mind-altering. Well, kind of mind-altering, but in a good way usually, and not...
To me, cigarettes in a graveyard is more disrespectful than other green-grown organic types of whatever. You know what I'm saying?
To me, it sounds like a blues song. Scott, hit it.
Cigarettes in a graveyard, just some degenerates. Smoking cigarettes in a graveyard, they ain't afraid of no ghosts. Ghosts don't want this smoke. Now let's get back to the show, back to the show.
It just seems disrespectful, so you get what you get.
You get what you get, and
you know, if you're trying to maybe communicate with a ghost, being a little bit respectful, but just
if you're just a couple of edgelords out in the graveyard smoking cigarettes, I don't think you're very hip. You do it on a deck and you yell at your neighbors like the rest of us.
But also fascinating, we're just doing stupid teenager things because there was a time in a graveyard in Palmdale, California.
What was his name?
We were not smoking cigarettes with tobacco in them.
And here we get into the drugs, folks. The man can't help himself.
And
he can't help himself. Drugas constantly.
I swear I've told this story here before.
Probably.
But, you know, we're doing that. It's a really old cemetery, too. It's like from the beginning of the city of Palmdale.
Oh.
So it's really old. So everything's fine. We leave. And as we're pulling away, I go to shift. I had a stick shift.
Oh, yeah.
Shifted into gear, and the metal stick broke in half.
Oh, no. Not in a graveyard.
Yeah, pulling out. Were
you scared shitless?
No, we were just...
We were just like, oh, man.
I think our mind was not quite in a state.
And what state was it in, I wonder?
It was just like we were kind of just in a good mood. And it wasn't a super spooky graveyard. It's really small. Like I could see the street from where we were parked. It was like a little U. You pull into it, see you, and you pull out. Very
spooky,
very small, but it was a very old graveyard. So just a weird happening. Maybe there was something in some disrespect I gave the older people of this town of Palmdale.
Maybe the devil was afoot.
Well, here's another thing I learned after that is all around this graveyard was where they buried like Native Americans and other people that weren't.
Wow. Very wholesome.
Part of that community and in the way they
broke your stick shift.
Like 100 years ago.
Yeah.
So the world was different back then.
Great.
So anyway, my dumb graveyard story that may or may not have had ghostly consequences.
Christian, you had a story that fit in with the episode.
You're welcome.
I'm not going to call that dumb, okay? I have something called standards for this show, and you actually fit into them that time.
You're welcome. I'm glad I can help you.
Except you're welcome. Anyway,
great song that I've listened
from
to.
A movie I've never seen. Anyway.
I've watched that song with your son many times.
Congratulations. This next one is called Lady at the Gate. Oh, yeah.
Is she wearing white?
No, I don't believe she was, but actually she might have been. I don't remember the story very well. I put this together so long ago, as I do all the time because I'm well prepared and I didn't do it an hour ago. Okay? Okay, you happy now, trolls?
He didn't do it with the thought Christian's almost off work. He's going to be here.
Yeah, that's what I was. It wasn't my son climbing me like a freaking jungle gym for 8 straight hours while I cried internally. Anyway, it's called Lady at the Gate, and
she was wearing something white.
And she was wearing something, at least we know that much. When I was in college, I worked part-time at a Jewish cemetery in reception and office management. The cemetery was closed Friday afternoon through Saturday evening for Sabbath. We sometimes stayed a bit later in the office on Friday afternoons to get bills out or checks processed. We heard a loud commotion by the cemetery entrance, which was locked and only staff could get in and out. The office manager went to see what was going on and made me come with her. We went down to the gate to find an older woman, probably around 70, dressed to the nines, begging us to let her in. She kept saying she needed to get back. Creepy thing to say at the cemetery gate. Anyway, this was in the suburbs of New Jersey, so you needed a car to get around, but we didn't see a car or anything. She was just there in this beautiful dress. We couldn't open the gate without the cemetery manager, so we went to go get him. We brought him back to the gate and no one was there. We looked at the video footage of the entrance and you could see us, the office manager and myself, talking, but there was no one on the other side of the gate. The cemetery manager thought we were trying to trick him. I swear to this day, we saw a woman in a fancy dress outside that gate. There were multiple cameras and not a single one picked up anyone on the other side of the gate, and you could see the whole gate. All you could see was us. I don't know if it was a ghost or what. The office manager and I decided not to tell anyone else, but we would mention it to each other every once in a while. Christian, what did you think about that one?
I don't think she was dressed in white like most ghosts that are ladies.
Well, what is the nines?
The nines.
It's like fancy, right? You're dressed in the nines.
Oh, yeah.
It's like you're just all dolled up, right?
Yeah, and it's New Jersey, and I'm not familiar with white being the normal way of dress.
Red feels like
I mean, I've been watching The Sopranos lately, so not that that's all of New Jersey, but
in Christian's mind, it is.
Yeah.
You like that, New Jersey? Well, who didn't? The Sopranos was great, so checks out.
One of the things that popped into my mind as you're reading the story is this lady's trying to get back in.
That's exactly what is creepy about it. I need to get back. You're like, now, hold on now.
And it's almost like she doesn't quite understand where she's getting back to.
She's passed on.
But also, if you're trying to get back into the cemetery, it's a good sign you're dead. So she probably knows. So it makes me wonder if there's...
Do you have like some time to get away? Like, I'm going to take some me time.
I mean, if you were hanging out in a cemetery, you would want to go take a trip to check on everybody.
But I need to get back. It has a sense of urgency to it.
It is New Jersey. So maybe the boundaries are thinner in this part of the country. So maybe she knows she needs to get back to the cemetery. She's not letting on that she's dead because they would open the gate right away. Or
hey, I'm dead. Let me in, you bastard. Yeah.
So do these these ghosts momentarily forget their predicament as they're trying to come back when they're out there doing their ghost stuff, checking on family or whatever ghosts do?
Sure.
Do they not quite grasp? I mean, we do know that it seems like in these ghost stories, some of them just don't understand they passed.
True. Yeah, that is a theme that we've come across a few times.
This story doesn't quite feel that way. This story feels like, hey, I just went on my trip. I dressed up for my family or whoever I'm going to check out or look in on. But now I need to get back home, however that works. Maybe home is a cemetery for now.
For all of us, as we get closer to the Halloween season, home is a cemetery. Wow. Do you think ghosts ever do perverted things? Like they have time, they get to go back. They're like, I get to visit my family, but maybe I'm just going to swing by this place real quick with the...
I feel like we've talked about, there's this movie many years ago
called Ghosts Do Perverted Things.
It was a ghost or something did something perverted. I think maybe it was The Entity. I don't remember. It was, I was probably a young teen, maybe not even a teenager when this movie came out, and was pretty shocking. But it was like, now that looking back on it, it was some pervy ass director that just wanted to show some cutting edge violence on women. So
there's a lot of pervy ass directors and writers, as we talked about Stephen King a couple weeks ago, being the biggest pervert in the world.
Please, Scott.
He's the biggest pervert in the world.
Scott,
I said it louder. Is that better for you?
No. On this one,
why do you want me to
hold on? Let me. I just need to, because Stephen King.
I know you love him, Christian, but the man's a pervert.
Just please let me have this one. I don't ask.
Okay, look, hey, I'm not going to remove it, but if anyone wants to know why he's a pervert, message me directly.
No, Scott.
Or look into it yourself. The man is a pervert.
Scott, please don't.
You're going to forget about this by the time the episode comes out. And by that time, we're not even going to watch it. And we're never going to know. No one's going to mention this. Hey, don't tell Christian that Stephen King's a pervert. Shh.
No,
it's between us.
Come on, man.
Let's get back into this. This third story is beckoning us.
I don't ask you this. I don't ask you this in all seriously, but Scott, please take that part out.
I don't know. Do I rob our listeners of that? Do I rob our listeners of a really entertaining
I'll tell you what, you can leave it in.
But take out his name?
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm not going to do that,
because then they can ask you in other ways, and I'm fine with that. I just don't want it to be like a public statement.
Okay. I won't say, hey, Scott, take out his name and just say he's one of the most famous horror writers of all time.
That is
everyone knows who this guy is.
We're wasting time
I'm not saying the name, Christian. I'm not saying the name. It's fine. You're not even going to watch the video when it comes out.
You just said the name.
You're not going to
You don't have to.
You're not going to know.
Why are you treating me like I'm stupid?
Because
everybody knows exactly who you're talking about.
We're at the part of desperation for this podcast where we need to have really hot takes to really boost us over these algorithms, Christian. We got to fight. We can hug it out afterwards, but we got to fight this,
That
dude.
perverted South African got to you.
Who?
Move on.
Oh, is he talking about? Yeah. Well, there's multiple pervert South Africans, but let's not get into that, okay? Everyone's fine here. Everyone's welcome as long as you like ghosts.
I'm not okay with this now all of a sudden.
It's okay, Christian. It's good to have a little tension.
No.
Occasionally. I know you don't like tension. I live in tension. It's always tension.
That's a choice.
Wow. That is a choice, actually. It makes me stronger or some bullshit. Anyway, this next...
that is some bullshit.
That is some bullshit, yeah. You're going to enjoy this next story, Christian. I've been putting together stories that you're just going to get a kick out of. Look at me. Look at me, stand-up man all along. It's called Hitchcock.
Great writer, a piece of shit from what I understand in real life.
Turns out to be a theme with writers, especially in this job.
I feel like you put these, you call out certain people that are famous without realizing those same people are living right down the street from you.
Yeah, I know. The world is full of perverts.
I don't understand why.
I'm just calling out. I don't think it's, if you're a pervert, you're a pervert. It's fine, but it's not my choice. I don't like perverts. I'm not for perverts. I'm not a pervert. Or maybe I'm the biggest pervert. Who knows? We all got monsters.
You need to let it go. Get on with the story.
I think you're the one that keeps talking about it. This is called Hitchcock, and it's by Dabota 99. It says, just outside my hometown, there's a small castle. Brief history, it was a motte, M-O-T-T-E, I imagine, motte, in 1100s, and slowly progressed to a castle. Or were they trying to spell moat?
No.
There's no way, because that goes around a castle.
I feel like you should stop for a second so I can look this up. Mounder Hill.
Wow. Couldn't just say it was a mound or hill.
That's not what
it was a mott.
That's not what rich people would say that were going to eventually build a castle on it.
It was a modest mott. Anyway, just outside my hometown, there's a small castle. Brief history. It was a small hill, or hill before that, in the 1100s, and slowly progressed to a castle and Georgian residence throughout time. Do I know what Georgian is?
In this case, I'm taking it to be like King George's time.
Not like Curious George, which is where I was going with it.
Oh.
Sadly, a monkey had nothing to do with this castle. Maybe some other time, folks. There's a small burial ground outside of it, and me and my friends decided to investigate the local rumors about a shining light that shone in a powerless section of the place. Anyways, we got there, saw the light, and roamed the grounds for somewhere near an hour. It was a very uneasy place, so we decided to leave. We got attacked by a flock of birds.
At least it wasn't a flock of seagulls.
That would definitely be worse.
I would have ran.
So far away, no less. When I got back to my car outside the grounds to drive home, I got an unexpected call from my mother asking was I all right, and that she had gotten a very bad feeling about me crossing her mind. I let her know I was fine and would be home in the next 15 to 20 minutes and not to be worrying about nothing. Cut to about 5 minutes later, after I ended the call and was beginning my drive home, I was pulling out onto the main road and a car with no lights on in the pitch dark came and smashed into the side of my car. Nobody was seriously hurt. If the car with no lights had been 5 seconds later, she would probably have killed my friend in the following car, as she would have hit his driver's door rather than my rear door. I always remember that night. It felt as though we shouldn't have ever been there, and an incident was bound to happen with the feeling around that place. I've never been there since, and this was about 6 years ago.
I feel like this supports some of my comments on being disrespectful around burial places from earlier in this episode.
Question, do you think the birds were ravens? Crows. Cravens. West Cravens.
Well, it sounds like we're possibly in England or France, so I would say ravens for sure.
Kind of eerie, no?
At least in the story I would write.
It's kind of eerie. You know, you get attacked by a flock of birds or a murder of crows, perhaps. And then you get a phone call from your mom being like, is everything okay? Yeah. Have you ever gotten one of those?
No.
No one ever called you being like, are you okay? I had the weirdest feeling.
Okay. I got to be honest. Okay. I did get some of those calls, but my mom was just using that as an excuse to talk to me.
It was never in the middle of a weird...
No.
Really?
No.
I've had a couple where my mom has called me and be like, are you okay? And it was like after something strange happened.
This was the same mom that saw the ghost of her father the night he died, before she found out he died, according to her.
Well, there you go.
So,
what about you guys? Any weird feelings that have led to phone calls from loved ones, or you calling someone because you had a weird feeling? I would love to hear some of those stories. Those are always fascinating. Is it like a generational thing, like a familial thing where you're like, this is my family, so I'm connected to them? Like same with like twins and stuff, you know, you hit one twin, the other twin's like, what the hell? You know?
I think this will become more self-evident to you as
all men are created equal?
No, as your son grows.
Christian doesn't believe all men are created equal. Okay. No.
Some are more equal than others.
Hot takes. You're reading into it, Christian. That's what I like. We need hot takes.
That has nothing to do with race, but you can take that as you will.
I'll take it right to the dump where it belongs.
But another thing with this story too, that flock of birds, it's like they're pushing these people to drive out at the opportune time for this person running without headlights.
Perhaps.
It's like this was a very intricate attempted murder from the
attempted murder of crows, possibly as well. So are we thinking it was the devil?
I never think it's the devil because I don't believe the devil exists, but
greatest trick he ever pulled, Christian.
I would be closer. I would believe in ghosts before I would believe in the devil.
Well, I think there's a timeline of events that usually takes place. You open your eyes a little bit and you're like, I guess this is possible. And then the dominoes start to fall. And there's no coming back from
Dude,
that.
no dominoes have fallen in the time we've been doing this.
A lot of dominoes have fallen. People drop their pizza all the time. It happens. But it's, no, I mean, you're stubborn, so it takes a lot to even get you to that first step. You got to get 1 foot in the door. Bigfoot doesn't even really count. It doesn't even really count because everyone knows Bigfoot is real. There's no denying that.
Everybody knows Bigfoot was probably real.
Everybody knows in their heart of hearts. Search your soul right now.
I think Bigfoot walked around with
Bigfoot's
Neanderthals. Just another
he's
part of the family.
No, Christian, how dare you?
How
dare you not believe in portal jumping Bigfoot? I'm not going to allow it on this.
Hey, man, if there's portals, I would like to go into them and view. Just sit back and watch some history from the past happen.
How do you know that's how portals happen? You know, what happens? Nobody knows what happens if you jump in a portal, man. You could be like, I'm going to go watch history, and then you could just be beat up by 15 gorillas or something on the other side. You're like, oh God, that was horrible. You get thrown back through.
You always read the fine print.
I don't think portals have that. At least none of the ones I've checked out.
You're an expert
I've seen
on portals,
some things,
right?
I have seen some things, Christian. It's pretty dark and lonely on the other side, turns out.
You haven't seen a gear shift break in a Palmdale cemetery.
I think there are many folks out there that haven't seen a gear shift. You might actually be one of 3 or 4 that did see that happen.
And you know me, I'm not like a instant believer when something like that happens, but it is weird that this metallic thing just snapped in the hands of a teenager.
Perfect. You didn't think about maybe the grip strength that you're rocking. You know, all those curls.
I was working out a lot because it was around
going
the time
after the ladies, of course.
High school baseball.
Men? Oh, high school baseball. Yes, of course.
Yeah,
it's fine either way. You could have said either. It's fine. Not hockey, but I guess baseball.
Oh, that was
you were really you were way. That was way before hockey for you.
Like 3 or 4 years.
That was way before hockey for me too, because I had like a 16-year lease left on my dad's ball sack. Anyway, that's enough of my dad's ball sack. So let's. Did you have a favorite story from today's episode, Christian?
I like the last one because it's more connected to history in a way, castles and shit, and
a little more believable with the spooky.
No, not believable. I just like history, but I feel like that's not my favorite story.
Well, I feel like it might be if you can't remember the other 2.
What was the first one? We just did 2 episodes.
Ghost of the Graveyard.
That's the whole episode.
I know. And I named it before I've decided it was going to be a graveyard episode. The Ghost of the Graveyard. Folks, help me out here. You're typing away. People think I'm lying when they comment on stuff, and I'm like, I have no recollection of what happened to that episode. I need to take refreshers because it's constantly.
Try being somebody that doesn't have to edit it, and someone comes up to me in the middle of a store, and they're like, "Hey, remember that line you said?"
And you said, "Yes, I don't." And you just, you said, "Yeah, that was great, right?"
I was like, "Which episode?" And then they explained it to me.
He's like, "The one where you made your pervert." And he's like, "Oh no, not that one, not that one. No, Ghost of the Graveyard was the teenagers smoking cigarettes in a graveyard, taking pictures. The picture took itself. They drove to McDonald's. That was my favorite. I like
the old lady one because it made me just completely wonder what the whole process is of being a ghost, that you would know to go back to a graveyard, but you wouldn't know that you could just walk through that damn gate.
Just walk through a damn gate, lady.
Do you slip up sometimes and forget that you're not really in the real world?
Alzheimer's in death as well. I don't know if that's...
See, that seems really unfair.
Yeah, you got to wait till the death after death.
Yeah, to me, being a ghost is a major... it's like a Beetlejuice scenario where you get... Somehow, the workers lost your paperwork and you're stuck in limbo. That makes no sense. In a world where God, the Almighty, is in control, ghosts should not be left behind by mistake.
Do you think that maybe the ones that are left behind are the ones that possibly rejected the Almighty?
No.
Well, because you've got nothing to worry about.
Because in a perfect setup that a God would put together, that would just be part of the process.
Can I just let me unwind this a little bit? Are you suggesting that you know a better process for the entire afterlife than the person that created the universe and the world and the stars and the oceans and all that?
I just want to understand how
It's a little cocky.
A being that can create all these things doesn't have a process for reclaiming lost ghost. Like, shouldn't we have a chip put in us at birth?
Wow. You will. Don't worry. You're not going to have to die. You're going to get to live for eternity. And it's going to be as a robot in a computer somewhere because you're going to sell your soul to AI. Just like all of you out there. It's going to happen.
Dude, what if we already did that? We're
I
not
think
even
we might
here.
have. I think if we hadn't, this episode would have ended a while ago before we got into the weird bits.
We're nothing but memories of the humans that used to exist, but we're on digital format. You know this because you're watching us.
I thought we were nothing but dust in the wind. Good night, everyone. No. And comment below your favorite story and what you think about God, I guess.
That's not
whatever the last bit was.
No, we want to hear what your favorite story is. I like the lady. I did like the last story. No, because like I said, it's historical sounding.
Sure.
And
everyone loves that.
I don't think so. I think I'm one of the few people that love history.
I think you're mistaken. There's so many people out there that love history. I may not be one of them because I don't have time to love anything outside of this podcast and my job and my business.
What about your son and your wife?
Well, they that's 4 and 5. I guess if I got to squeeze it in there, Christian. That goes without saying. Yeah, you're right. Anyway, folks, off the rails. Isn't that something that almost never happens here?
I feel like this is the first time this has ever happened. We're always top notch.
It took 28 episodes for us really just to fall apart. You're welcome.
Nobody ever complains about our rants.
Just the trolls. Just the trolls. You know them trolls. I got to tell you, the trolls. No, it's fine. We're going to get out of here. Folks, remember to sleep with the lights on because you never know what is lurking in those fucking shadows out there. Keep an ever watchful eye.
It's a murder of crows. We know it.
It's a murder of crows going to push your car into another car that's coming faster with no speed. We're out of here. Goodbye.
Be scared.
Look at that, merch for a podcast about ghosts and crap. It's pretty neat. Hey, what a treat. Support the show and rock some swag. If kids are still saying stuff like that, we love you. What a weird song. Buy a t-shirt with TFD thong. Just kidding about that last part, but it's funny all the same. I think the song's over. I'm going insane.